All right, today we're going to be talking with another interesting candidate for office. Tim Myers is joining me and is a former member of OneRepublic, Grammy nominated multi platinum producer and songwriter, founder of Palladium Records, and is now running as a Democrat for the California 41st congressional seat. Tim, really good to have you on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So, I mean, listen, let's start maybe with the most obvious question. Your background is in music and production. What do you say to those who say, is Tim qualified to serve in Congress? Obviously, other than pointing to Donald Trump as president. So what does it mean to be qualified? But thinking about it more seriously, I mean, what is it that made you do this?
Absolutely. I mean, I was born and raised in Corona, California. My dad's actually, he was a pastor for a really, really long time. He was a pastor at this church called Harvest Christian Fellowship in Riverside. And I watched my dad serve the people. I watched him hold hands with people that were passing away in hospital beds. I went and would go often and feed the homeless with him. And I just saw his life of service and dedication to people. We've seen just lately, politics is just getting more and more corrupt. It's all about money. So Ken Calvert, when I was 8 years old, he went into office. 32 years later, he's still there and he's $20 million richer. So corrupt. At one point in history, uh, Congress was about serving the people and it was an act of service. And we've completely lost that. So from there, from being a kid, I went on to start OneRepublic and founded my record label, Palladium. And I mainly founded it because songwriters and producers were getting screwed over by major labels and major companies. And I helped artists and songwriters be able to purchase homes and make a living doing music. It was
Mm.
the coolest thing ever. And now, I've had a successful business. Now, the second stage of my life is all about service. I'm wanting to serve people and help people out. So, this isn't about money or fame for me. I've already, had a lot of success. This is about serving people and helping out others.
It seems there's a big anti-incumbent sentiment right now, and that's
Absolutely.
potentially something that is to your advantage. At the same time, I'm curious your thoughts as to whether anti-incumbent sentiment applies across the board because, for example, you look at someone like a Bernie Sanders, who at
Hmm.
this point is really an incumbent. He's been around a while at this point in time,
Yeah.
but the anti-incumbent move is not coming for Bernie. So it's got to be more than just anti-incumbent, right?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, we're seeing that on the ground level. This last weekend, I was out with the protesters. I probably shook hands with over 400 different protesters out in Palm Springs. People are fired up, but it's not an anti-establishment sentiment per se. It's more anti-establishment for the policies that the Republicans are currently doing. I mean, look, Ken Calvert is one of the most corrupt politicians, in my opinion, ever. He voted against the infrastructure bill, but then profited off it. This guy's a joke, and most people know that. They know all the facts. They know that he voted against same-sex marriage. He's done a bunch of other awful things, and everyone wants him to go. So I don't think, we've seen with Bernie, this isn't about anti-establishment per se. It's about the awful policies that are happening right now.
One of the things that I think is interesting about you coming from the music industry is that the music industry often takes advantage of performers. And I recently read a not yet published book by Cory Doctorow about the monopolization that exists within performing arts and the music industry. This happens with streaming, this happens with rights, this sometimes even includes touring. Do you see
Absolutely.
a parallel with broader American society where we see a sort of hoarding of wealth at the top while the poor struggle that's like analogous to what we see in the music industry?
100%. And that's one of the main reasons why I'm jumping in. I've seen with artists, they've continually been screwed over by these major labels. We've seen with Spotify, especially YouTube. YouTube just screws over songwriters and producers. They take the majority of the wealth, all the streams, and they give peanuts to the songwriters and the people who are creating the content. You know, and that's the main reason why I started my label. It's mainly focused on TV, film, and commercials. And so artists would have, full ownership. They'd be able to get, that percentage instead of the labels taking it all and doing these 360 deals where they're taking the tour support, they're taking the streaming. And so, artists were thriving. We're seeing that right now. Trump, Elon, these billionaires, they're pouring money into Trump and to the White House here, and they're profiting, and the people aren't. California, 1/3 of the population here is in or near poverty. They're, and poverty is stated as $39,900 a year, and that's two adults and two kids. I mean, it's insane. It's literally insane. And yet we're the fifth largest economy in the world with,
I
if
think
we were
even fourth largest now, just as of
oh yeah,
recently.
we're fourth. That's
Yeah.
right. We're
Yeah.
fourth. Yep. We surpassed Japan, right?
Tim, what do you say to those who would say, okay, I mean, listen, Tim has some interesting ideas and I agree with him, but the reason he's being treated as a serious contender is because of his fame and success in music to begin with. What would you say to someone who looks at your candidacy and says, that's really what you have going? The ideas are good, but a lot of people have the ideas.
Right, right. I really pride myself on being working class. I didn't grow up with the silver spoon. I was at one point I was a barista, I was a janitor at one point. And I know what it's like to work your ass off. When I came up to LA to do music, I literally had 50 bucks and was living on like $500, $1,000 a month, and I know what it's like to sleep on futons and to, work your butt off to make it. And, a lot of people are struggling right now. And I think they want people that represent them in office. And so I pride myself on that. I'm a working class person. I'm a part of the union. I'm part of a couple unions. I'm a SAG member. So, I'm pro union. And so, I'm proud to be representing the people and not special interests like Calvert.
My understanding is you don't currently live in the district. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think that that's potentially a liability in the campaign? And would you move to the district if you won, or have you thought about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely plan on moving out to the district, but no, I don't currently live there. The main reason why is my kids are in LA schools and I didn't want to rip them out. We wanted to be more thoughtful with that and with the kids. But, I was born and raised, I've spent my entire life in Corona. And, it's, it's interesting. Like some politicians, they jump in and they've literally lived in the district for a year, and they're like, "I live here," but went to elementary school and high school in the district. I know it. I know the people. I think that's way more valuable than someone just kind of hopping over to Palm Springs and being like, "I live here now." So, but I want to be real and authentic with the voters, and so. I don't want to play the political game where I'm, kind of sidestepping the question and just being real and authentic with people.
Let's talk a little bit about policy. I often ask this of anyone running for national elected office, and sometimes they've thought about it, sometimes they haven't. What do you think the top federal tax rate should be on income?
I we're gonna get a lot more specific with some of those things on timmyersforcongress.com, but all I can say is, in California right now, we pay a lot in taxes, and it's a bummer because right now, we don't get that money back. Basically, California is consistently in the red. We pay billions and billions of dollars in taxes, and then that money doesn't go to us. It goes to other states like Virginia and Vermont and other states, Maryland.
So you're
So
talking about the federal taxes paid by California residents right now, not California
yes,
state tax.
yes, yes, yes,
Okay,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
correct. Yeah, yeah. So, I would love to see us get, at least break even. Are if you're out here in California, our roads are messed up and there's a lot of problems going on. And I would love to see us at least break even, and the money not go to other states.
But do you think federal tax rates for the rich need to go up, or you'd like to not raise them, but think about a different way of managing the budget?
I'm just going to be honest with you. I think billionaires make way too much in this country right now. They need to be taxed higher. There's no question about it. And the poor and the working class, we're just struggling. We're struggling. And so, yeah, absolutely. Like billionaires need to be taxed a lot more.
I want to move on from taxes in a moment, but one of the real difficulties with taxing billionaires is that they don't earn much from wages. They earn
Oh.
money in other ways. And so you can raise the income tax up to whatever you want,
Yeah.
but it's not going to capture that. Are you in favor of something like a wealth tax?
I definitely want to spell that out a little bit more with the team on timmyersforcongress.com. But, where I stand on it is I think we need to have a huge, huge overall with billionaires, and we need to get extremely creative. I'm on the same page that it's insane what's going on right now, and as far as the wealth inequality in this country, it's ridiculous. And as a candidate, I'm completely for reforming the way it's structured right now.
All right, so still developing the details of that aspect, it sounds like. I
Absolutely.
want to talk about housing a little bit. Nationwide, but acutely so in California. And I recently had the governor of California on, and we talked about this to some degree. Housing is extremely expensive as compared to when you look at what is we might say, let's put a family of three or four in a two-bedroom. So either there's one kid with their own room or two kids share a room. We're not talking extravagant here. And you
Yeah.
just look at the median salaries for two people and what the cost is for a two-bedroom in that same community relative to the salaries. It's fallen completely out of whack.
Yeah.
10 or 12 different things that can be done with regard to housing prices. What's your thought on dealing with housing affordability?
I mean, it's something that we need to have an overhaul with. I mean, I've seen millennials. I've had so many friends of mine leave the state. They're going to Nashville. They're going to Austin. It's absolutely horrific, and we need to have a major overhaul with housing. And it's a nuanced thing. It's something that needs to radically change here in California.
But for example, are you in favor of changing zoning so that you can build more densely, which the NIMBYs tend to be against? Or are you more of the approach of let's subsidize, which many economists say actually is economically counterproductive? Or what's your sort of a framework for looking at housing?
I think, there's a few different things. So, one of the things that's really interesting to me is, like for example, the state land here in California. There's a lot of opportunity where, there's various different land that's kind of going unused, or even buildings here in California that could be transformed into affordable housing.
Mm.
So I think we need to get really, really creative, and with what we currently have, and transform some of these buildings and a lot of this land that we're sitting on that's just prime real estate, and create some affordable housing for folks.
All right, we've been speaking with Tim Myers, who is running against Ken Calvert, a long, long, long time incumbent, that's for sure. Tim is running as a Democrat in the 41st District of California. We'll link to his campaign website. Tim, really appreciate you being on and would love to have you back as you develop out some of these policies.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.